Man's best friend and one of our greatest assets in identifying infiltration Terminators such as the T-800 was well studied by Skynet, and the machines quickly realised they could copy and improve on the humble dog to make ruthless killing machines. But why would Skynet copy dogs? Well, during the early years of the future war, Skynet witnessed how humanity used dogs for defence against its infiltrators and HK machines. As the dogs would notice these from afar and alert humans to their presence, Skynet also witnessed the bond between humanity and the animals. In this case of the dogs, the bond was very strong, with humans regularly risking their lives to save them. This was fascinating, and Skynet saw much potential in exploiting this. The first canine model deployed was the HK-IX. This was a prototype based off pre-Judgment Day human designs. The military had wanted to produce a machine dog for patrols and hunting, but this machine was different to other canine designs as it was 12 feet tall, more of a dog-shaped tank. It was colossal, with heavy armour plating that could shrug off anything shy of anti-tank weapons, and even then it could take a lot of punishment before it was destroyed. Contrary to what you would expect, it was rather slow, probably due to the heavy armour and the fact it was a prototype, so more of a test of what worked to see what was viable and what wasn't. It was deployed to Europe for field testing, as most of Skynet's HK and T series models were. Europe had a fractured and less organised resistance, which gave it lower designation of risk from Skynet. The perfect place for testing prototypes before being mass-produced and sent to the North American theatre, where humanity was being rather difficult to terminate. Even with this slow speed, it was able to traverse all types of terrain with its four-legged canine design, and this was perfect for stalking through the ruined cities of Europe, which tended to be far more dense and have more compact street layouts due to the older age of the cities compared to the North American theatre. The real standout of the HK-IX model was its offensive capabilities. Firstly, its mouth had powerful hydraulic jaws able to open very wide so it could clamp them around something like a human easily, and also big vehicles like armoured personnel carriers, with it biting clear through the armour and ripping off weapons like a dog eating a steak, and its legs could kick with a force to flip vehicles and clear large chunks of concrete or stone, and if a human was unlucky to be knocked by one of its legs, it would be a killing blow, with the force being substantially more than our bodies could ever hope to withstand. The HK-IX wasn't just lethal up close, it packed some interesting range weapons, the first being two flamethrowers mounted either side of the hydraulic jaws. These could be used to torch humans hiding in buildings, or if they're in areas too small for the IX to fit. It could also combine them with its ferocious bite. For instance, if it ripped a hole in an armoured personnel carrier, then it would fire its flamers straight into the opening, roasting the unlucky souls who were located within. And if that wasn't enough, it also had integrated grenade launchers, most likely using 40mm grenades. These were either loaded with white phosphorus, which burns at very high temperature and can literally melt a man. It also creates a lot of smoke, so it can be used to make a concealing cloud if the IX needs to retreat. Also, a very rare use of chemical weapons, with mustard gas grenades being available. When fired, these grenades cause anyone caught near the impact area to choke to death. This also gives it options to deploy these through air vents and ducts into resistance bunkers and strongholds to kill and flush out the occupants. Due to the IX's large size, it was able to carry large amounts of fuel for its flamers and grenades, so it could maintain a relentless barrage. This was great for allowing the IX to go into the field for extended periods of time before it needed to reload, and with its ruthless close combat abilities, running out of ammo wasn't too much of a concern. The intelligence of the HK-IX was very animalistic and predator-like, stalking its enemies and waiting for the opportune moment to strike, mostly moving in at night when its prey was more isolated, and it would move in to inflict quick but savage attacks. Being of but basic intellect, it could be baited and drawn into kill zones and traps, but with its large size and high durability, it would require heavy weapons and potentially vehicle support to take one down efficiently. Sensor-wise, it was equipped with advanced optics that could magnify the targets, and it could even hunt at night with infrared. These were made of a thick ballistic glass to fit with the IX's heavy armour, and it had good audio sensors, able to pick out the sounds of humans from miles away. The HK-IX was never mass-produced, and only deployed in limited numbers. It was effective at hunting and causing fear in the resistance forces, but its lack of speed and large size were its downfall. One notable IX was named Old Red Eye, most likely due to its red glowing visual sensors, and it was infamous for how long it stalked the European battlefields, inflicting untold losses on humanity. Skynet learned a lot from the HK-IX, which led to its next canine creation, the HK-003 Hellhound attack robot. This was a major step away from the hulking dog-like tank of the IX, with the Hellhound being far smaller around the same size as a large dog breed such as a Mastiff. The size allowed it to traverse terrain and small spaces very efficiently, with it now able to follow humans anywhere they went. Nowhere was safe from these metallic mutts, and the psychological effect of being hunted by Terminator dogs was massive. If you've ever been chased by a dog, you know the feeling of the sudden rush and attack that follows, giving you barely a second to react. In this case, it being a vicious machine that's entire purpose is ripping you limb from limb. With the smaller size came impressive speed, being able to hit speeds of 45 to 50 miles per hour, rivaling the super speedy greyhound dog breed. The speed allowed the Hellhound to traverse large distances very quickly, with it barely being slowed by mud, snow or ruins, jumping and leaping through any obstacles without a second thought. And once it sighted an enemy, it closed in before they had time to react. This made fighting the Hellhound very tough. You needed lightning fast reflexes and to be a crack shot, because if it got into close range, you were as good as dead. Its lethal capabilities came in the form of hydraulic jaws, just like its bigger brother the IX, but on a smaller scale, with it being able to bite through flesh, bone and steel. Body armour was of little use against it, and you might as well be a sardine in a can as long as the Hellhound was concerned. And with its immense speed it could simply ram into you, sending you flying back, crushing bones and causing either concussion or death. And it was able to burst open doors and barricades that weren't sufficiently reinforced. Additionally, it had a retractable manipulator arm designed as a support tool for opening objects like doors and boxes, and it was able to access computers as well. I can imagine it being used to grab throats and crush windpipes in a situation where a very strong human with a weapon was able to hold a Hellhound back. And this device could be used to cause torture without killing a target, great for interrogation and intelligence gathering. The Hellhound also lived up to its name, with a built-in flamethrower inside its head. Able to scorch and burn its targets, and with its smaller size, this became very useful in one of its more practical roles, bunker busting. The Hellhound would sneak through a small entry such as an air vent, ripping through protective grates and panels with its powerful jaws. Once into the bunker, it could activate its flamethrower, burning up the oxygen supply, causing suffocation. This was more effective with multiple Hellhounds deployed together, and if the resistance didn't choke to death, they could move in and begin to rip and burn everyone inside. It was brutal but an effective strategy that caused chaos and panic, and many would flee the bunkers and run into additional machine forces waiting for them on the surface. The flamethrower could also be used as a blowtorch, being able to cut through steel and other strong materials. This allowed the Hellhound to break through heavily fortified areas. Even panic rooms weren't safe, with the occupants inside hearing the Hellhound cutting through the doors, knowing their end was coming. It wasn't just an attack unit, but also great in support, as they regularly were deployed with other ground forces such as the T-Series and heavy HK models, providing rapid reconnaissance and scouting capabilities to help them track down resistance targets and to avoid traps and ambushes that became all too common in the future war. They were also very useful in supporting T-Series models in underground tunnels where larger HKs like the HK tank were far too big to venture, with the Hellhounds flanking and pushing humans towards the T-Series models, at which point the prey would be cornered between walls of gunfire and the crushing jaws and flames of the Hellhounds. When attacked by Hellhounds, humanity would attempt to gun them down from afar. They were tough though, made from advanced steel alloy, resistant to most small arms with multiple shots to weak points being needed to even damage it, and when combined with its rapid speed, it was tough to hit and put down. The best weapons for destroying the Hellhounds were high explosive launcher weapons such as grenade launchers or recoilless rifles, with the concussive force knocking them over and breaking the Hellhound's body in joints. If heavy weapons were available like 50 caliber machine guns and above, the Hellhounds could be dealt with, but that's at range. Up close they were nigh unkillable, with knives, bats and all manner of close quarters weapons being completely pointless against them. And even if you damaged a Hellhound, it had a backup ability, a small self-destruct explosive that could destroy the vital technology to stop it falling into the Resistance's hands, and as an added bonus this would kill anything in the immediate area. This self-destruct mechanism could also be triggered if the Hellhound became stuck or pinned, and even as a suicide weapon to damage important resistance equipment. For instance, if a supply depot full of ammunition was found and the Hellhound and its flamer was out of fuel, well, it could go bonsai and take out the valuable supplies located near it. The Hellhound had a very astute sensor package, with advanced optics and audio sensors to help it hunt down hiding humans. This combined with its animalistic brain led it to being a rapid, vicious hunting machine. What's interesting is it eventually got an upgrade to obsolete T-Series CPUs to give it a below human level intelligence, but this made them very brutal and effective killers, and in some situations capable of outsmarting the Resistance's forces. I like how Skynet used humanity's own designs and improved upon them, then sent these brutal machines back into the battlefield to tear through humanity's ranks. It was a smart choice in terms of resources, as they were easy to produce en masse. If Skynet had adopted more Terminator models on proven and naturally effective designs, maybe, just maybe, the machines would have won. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, have a beautiful evening.